What's up, everybody? It's Ryan here. Before we get into the episode, we got a jam-packed show for you. So we're going to put the timestamps in the description. How that works is that it'll be highlighted in blue, and you can click on the timestamp that interests you the most. So, little bit for you guys. Hope you enjoy the show. Let's do it. On this week's episode of the Ryan Canfield Show, we break down the second edition of the college football playoff top 25 rankings, and we make our picks for week 11, and then we have a great interview with a special guest to preview USA-Mexico World Cup qualifier this Friday in Cincinnati, Ohio on ESPN2. Great interview. You'll figure out who the guest is as we get to that, and then we preview the college basketball season. That's right, college basketball is back. We give you guys our picks and predictions for the All Big Ten Awards, and then we preview our sleepers and picks to make it to the Final Four in New Orleans. That's all based off of Joe Lenardi's first edition of Bracketology, and then we preview Portage Central's regional final matchup with South Lyon, and then we finish with the hot grind of the week presented by Millner-Haufen Tools. Let's get it, Prod Sheppy. Welcome to episode number 5. It's been a couple quick weeks of the Ryan Canfield Show, presented by Millner-Haufen Tools. Use code Ryan20 at checkout at millnertools.com to get 20% off your order. Great presenting sponsor. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Drew Lawler. Drew, what's going on, man? You got a fresh cut? For those who haven't seen it, it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, fresh cut. I've needed that for a while now. Glad I could get that in. But yeah, great day. It's been a great last few days coming off of last Saturday. Still kind of on a high after that Purdue win against Michigan State. So yeah, it's a great week, and I'm ready to get this show on the road. I'm ready for some football this weekend. We've got basketball this week. Whoa! It's a great time to be alive, Ryan.
Well, not if Michigan loses this week. But before we get in to the slate of Week 11, what is your assessment of Tuesday's rankings?
I honestly thought they were fine.
Interesting.
My
opinion has changed, but keep going, please.
Well, I have heard a lot of the head-to-head how they cared about Oregon, Ohio State, but not with Michigan State. That's kind of the big thing everyone's talking about. I think the only difference with that is Oregon handled Ohio State pretty handily, and they were on the road at a 9 a.m. local kickoff, which is really impressive for them.
Hey, man, they're jet-lagged.
Meanwhile, Michigan... You go to Columbus
and you're jet-lagged, and you pull out a W, you should be number 3.
Yeah, meanwhile, Michigan was up 30-14, kind of lost it at the end, but they were on the road. I would say it's a pretty even-matched game, and then Michigan State's got a worse loss than Michigan. So I don't have a problem with that. Alabama's ranked number 2 pretty much because of their name, but
Gross.
that's how it is. I did think it was a little surprising that Oklahoma was all the way down at 8. They don't really have any huge wins, but still a little surprising. Notre Dame is rising up the rankings. I thought that was, it's kind of where they should be, but them knocking on the door at the playoff, possibly kind of weird. And then you got all the Big Ten, 3 Big Ten West teams at 18, 19, and 20, which is very interesting. But this is not the Drew Lawler Show. This is the Ryan Canfield Show. So, Ryan, how are you liking these rankings this week?
So what we're doing with this playoff stuff, we know that there's the theme. The theme is the head-to-head results. As we go down here, I have it on my computer, so let's just check down here. 19, 20, and... Okay, 18, 19, 20. You have Iowa, Purdue, and Wisconsin, 20, 19, 18. It's all of the process, or what we like to call the my team beat your team. Purdue beat Wisconsin. No, excuse me. Iowa lost to Purdue, so that means that goes with that theme. And then Wisconsin beats Purdue. So that's how it works. Let's find another theme here. Okay, I can't find any because the rankings kind of changed on me. But last week there was a lot more. I swear to God. Joey Galloway and Jesse Palmer talked about it last week, so I'm not a fraud. But here's what I have. Here's my real bone to pick with the committee. Mainly with Notre Dame, mainly with Michigan, Michigan State, and I will express that right now. Listen, when I saw this ranking, and I saw Michigan was ranked over State, I was like, all right, that's fair. Because there is an argument for both points of view with Michigan State beating Michigan head-to-head. However, if you think of another head-to-head matchup like Ohio State-Oregon, Oregon had Ohio State beat for the entire game. Michigan and Michigan State Michigan had that game locked down for 3 quarters. But if State didn't have the best player in the country, I've said it a billion times, if State does not have Kenneth Walker on their team, Michigan wins that game by at least 20 points. And that might be a stretch saying 20 points, but Michigan wins that game. And I think they got it right at the time. But after seeing Joel Klatt, he went on the Herd yesterday, and he's on his own show, Breaking the Huddle. I recommend that show to all college football fans. It's a great show. You gotta love Joel Klatt and Gus. They're awesome. But you gotta honor the head-to-head win. And it's just like, why do they play if they're not gonna honor the head-to-head win in the rankings? So that's my real one bone to pick with my biggest bone to pick with the committee. Also, as I see Notre Dame coming up here in the rankings at 8-1, so we've been talking about how Notre Dame controls Cincinnati. Cincinnati kind of controls Notre Dame in their own perspective as well. Because if you think about it, if Cincinnati loses a game and Notre Dame has that L on their resume to a shaky American team that hasn't been playing efficiently as they were in the beginning of the season, that's going to bring Notre Dame down just as much as Cincinnati. So they lost to a bad team. Well, I mean, if God forbid Cincinnati were to lose, because I love Cincinnati. I love Desmond Ridder, as I've said almost every show. But if you're going to have Cincinnati undefeated, you can't have Notre Dame go in there. They're not. If they're going to leave out an undefeated Cincinnati, you can't have a one-loss Notre Dame. So that's my real bone to pick with the committee. So nothing too earthquakey with the rankings, other than that. And however, I will say I've never been a big Texas A&M guy. I mean, of course I hope we all would root for Johnny Football back in the day, but just A&M shakes me the wrong way. Like their colors, Kyle Field kind of gets under my skin sometimes. How much it wants to be the big house. I'm pretty sure they're like making renovations to make it bigger than the big house. But just A&M rubs you the wrong way. But if Auburn, and I don't even think they deserve to do this, but if Auburn beats Bama, they go to the SEC championship game. And do I want them to beat Georgia to maybe make room for Michigan? Sure. But I hope A&M goes to the SEC championship game. And that's kind of saying a lot, because I just said I'm not the biggest A&M guy. So, that's where the SEC stands. If Auburn takes care of business, or if Alabama loses their footing, they have cupcakes coming up, right?
Bama?
Right, Drew? They got cupcakes.
Alabama has a big old cupcake coming.
Tennessee plays Georgia, so that's not much of a cupcake at all. Because if you got Hendon Hooker on that side of the ball against Georgia's defense, and now without Anderson, I saw that when I was at Breslin last week that he got dismissed or suspended. So he's out. Their number one linebacker, maybe even player outside of Jordan Davis, is out. So if Hendon Hooker can take advantage of that, they could pick up an upset, and it's at Neyland. So, yes, Drew?
Meanwhile, Alabama is hosting 1-8 New Mexico State.
Gotta love the SEC.
Not only is it a cupcake with a lower division team, but 1-8.
Gotta love the SEC, folks. All right, should we get into the slate?
Let's do it, Ryan.
All right.
While we're filming this game is tonight.
Oh!
A Thursday night. Decent matchup for a Thursday night. North Carolina, fresh off their non-conference win against Wake Forest.
Actually, can you explain how that works?
Yeah, so ACC expanded teams, and Wake Forest and North Carolina are rivals. But with the new scheduling, they play each other only once every 6-7 years. So they decided to make a couple non-conference matchups, so they could still keep the rivalry alive for a little bit. So it does not.
That makes zero sense.
It does not count towards the SEC standings. ACC. So, Wake Forest is still undefeated in conference. So, anyways,
that's kind of BS. But you know what? Who cares? Anyway,
it's the life of conference expansion. Anyway, North Carolina, the Tar Heels. So they stay at 3-3 in the conference. They go to Pitt, number 21. Probably the best team in the ACC, most complete team, best quarterback in the league. Actually, two good quarterbacks in this game with Sam Powell and North Carolina. So
Kenny Two Gloves, baby.
So Ryan, Pitt is favored by 6.5 at home. It's almost 70 degrees in Pittsburgh tonight. Should be a beautiful day. So how's this game going to look?
You know I love Pitt. You know I love Kenny Two Gloves. But is Kenny Two Gloves going up against the legendary Mac Brown? Sam Howell, he kind of rubs me the wrong way. People were saying that he was going to play for the Lions, and he ain't going to the draft this year. He's got to come back. He's not proved much. Not a big Sam Howell guy. So yeah, I love Pitt. Actually, the week I was really on Pitt, they literally went and lost. So, you owe me, Pat Narduzzi. You owe me. But Kenny Two Gloves keeps it going.
So, another game before Saturday, the Friday night game. And this one I think is a little interesting. Cincinnati, who's been playing really close games the past couple weekends, going on the road to South Florida. South Florida is 2-7 and 1-4 in the American. However, a lot of these pretty decent teams, like a Coastal, on a Friday night, a short week, going on the road in a pretty far road trip. I think this could be a very interesting game for the Bearcats. But Ryan, I don't know how you see that. It's at Raymond James Stadium, so
I'll be there in a couple weeks.
You will be, and we'll get to that.
We will get to that. I know we haven't talked about the NFL in a little bit, but NFL's cooking. So, and we're not trying to talk about Josh Allen after that. Kind of a shaming week to be a Bills fan. Anyway, so Cincinnati, as I just said, Cincinnati. I love the Power Five or the Group of Five team making a push towards the playoff. However, Cincinnati has been playing like absolute garbage last couple weeks. I'm going to look up the scores here while I type. I'm going to say this. Oh, Drew's going to get that for me. Okay, listen. So Cincinnati has the national spotlight, the national magnifying glass on them. College game day in Cincinnati. They get an ESPN game. Not the prime announcers. However,
they were on the Deuce.
Yeah, the Deuce. Sorry, but you can't just expect to be considered elite or even be elite if you're not gonna close out games against Tulsa at home. I know Tulsa gave Ohio State problems in Columbus, but if Tulsa's running back has just a bigger wingspan, I think that game goes to overtime and maybe drops them. If they go to overtime, I think they drop behind Oklahoma. That sounds crazy, but I think that they would fall all the way back to 8. So, what do I think about this game? Trap game potential. I mean, I don't really want Cincinnati to lose. I kind of want them to make it, but I think it's trouble again. I think Cincinnati pulls this one out late. Is Charlie Strong still a coach at USF?
I do not believe so. I'll double check that.
So Mr.
Jeff
Texas
Scott.
Texas is not back at USF. So yeah, Cincinnati pulls this one out late. Drew, you haven't talked much about Cincinnati. What do you think about them?
Well, I know we had game day last week, and they won 28-20. And as close as that sounds, it really was a closer game. Tulsa almost scored a touchdown and fumbled out of their own end zone, I think, in the last minute of play. And then 2 weeks before that, 27-20 against Navy, and Navy had the ball at the very end of the game. I don't know. A lot of people are complaining that Cincinnati isn't in the top four. I think they should be,
including Jay Billis. He had Cincinnati at 2. He was talking about it.
I heard that.
He was talking about it before.
I heard that in the
Michigan
Classic.
Yes.
But I don't know. I don't think Cincinnati's too low. If anything, I think they should be a little lower. I think at least both Michigan teams, probably Oklahoma, would probably beat them at a neutral site. But I think they got a chance. I think there's a chance South Florida knocks them off. I mean, I'd still put my money on Cincinnati to win it. But I think we may have an interesting game on Friday night. So, Ryan, do you want to start with the Saturday games?
Oh, boy.
All right, let's start with the
big one?
Let's start with the big nooner. Now, really not the big game at the noon window, really, in my opinion.
Yes.
Well, it's a good game. Top 13 matchup.
Listen, one of the greatest games was played. This game was played 2 years ago in Waco, Oklahoma-Baylor. A great game. I came back from the Michigan State game that day. Game day was there. I remember Pat McAfee jumped into the lake or river. I'm not good on the Texas geography. However, he jumped off of a boat into a body of water outside McLean Stadium. And it was a great game. I remember that Baylor was up late in that game, and Jalen Hurts just took it all from all of Baylor. And CeeDee Lamb didn't even play that game. So that was a great game. However, I think Caleb Williams slams the door on Baylor. And
Did we mention it's Oklahoma playing Baylor?
Yeah, I just said that.
Okay.
I mean, I hope people could sniff that out. It's Oklahoma-Baylor at Baylor, noon on Fox. I think Caleb Williams slams the door on Baylor. I do like Dave Aranda, as I said last week. Dave Aranda's a great guy, or great coach. But I think Alex Grinch will have his guys ready to go. I think I know Nick Bonito had the game-winning interception in that game 2 years ago. So look for him to have a big game. I think Oklahoma wins.
All right, noon window is looking pretty nice this Saturday. We also have on ABC, Michigan, number 6 in the country,
what? Let's get to that game last. I got a lot to unpack for that.
Last
game.
of the noon window.
No, last of the whole slate. Last of the whole slate.
All right, let's go down to let's go to the SEC. Mississippi State going to Auburn. Auburn 6-3. They still had SEC championship aspirations until last week. They lost to Texas A&M. They're hosting Mississippi State. Mississippi State, as of late, has been a little iffy. They lost to Arkansas this past week. I don't know if you saw Coach Mike Leach telling the country that they're opening. There's some kicking tryouts for anyone that wants to try a walk on and kick. Their kicker missed a game-tying field goal at the end of the Arkansas game.
That's gotta feel really bad if you're a kicker.
Yeah, but
like your own coach going saying like, "Hey, we're opening up to the whole campus." That stinks. But I feel for the game.
So that's the best SEC game of the noon window. Auburn's favored by 5.5 at Jordan Hare. Yeah, Ryan, what you got?
I don't get that much on this game. I'll take Auburn.
Yeah.
However, people have been really, really critical of Bo Nix. I've been a huge Bo Nix guy, and I think he makes a statement in this game that they're ready to play Bama. They're ready to play a fraudulent Bama team that should not be number 2, and a little bit of foreshadowing to 2 weeks. I think they beat Bama. Well, spoiler. So, yeah, Auburn beats State. Let's keep going.
All right, let's go up to the Big Ten. Northwestern traveling to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, who started at, I think, 1-3 this year. They've been really hot over these last few weeks. They beat Rutgers 52-3 last week, beat Iowa by 20 the week before, beat Purdue by 17 the week before that. So, yeah, after starting 1-3 with losses to Penn State, Notre Dame, and Michigan, who all are really pretty good teams, they've won 5 straight. So, Northwestern not that great, but trying to upset the Badgers. The Badgers in the driving seat for the Big Ten West, Ryan. Do the Badgers stay in first? Tied first.
Who do they play, Northwestern?
Northwestern.
Yes, but here's the thing about Wisconsin. So, they had 3 running backs starting the season. They're now down to 1. Braylon Allen was dismissed. I think his last game was the Army game. He was dismissed from the team, and now I saw on my feed that on Twitter that Ches Malusi's done for the year. So now it's all up to Braylon Allen. But, Northwestern, I really like Fitzy, but I think Wisconsin takes care of business.
All right, the last noon game would be Michigan-Penn State. We will save that for later on. A rare 2 o'clock game. It's going to be 11 on the Pacific time in the Pacific time zone. Kind of a pretty bad ranked matchup. Number 24 Utah going to unranked Arizona, who has been pretty awful this season. They won their first game of the season last week.
I'm sorry, Don Brown, but I'll take Utah.
All right, over to the 3:30 slate. You mentioned this game a little bit a few minutes ago. Number 1 Georgia coming into Neyland Stadium to play Tennessee. Georgia favored by 20 points. Really haven't played a close game all season. 3:30 game CBS. Ryan, Georgia winning?
You go first. What do you think about this game?
I think Georgia's going to cover the 20.
Really? I think Tennessee covers, but I think it's too much for Henson. I know I was just hyping him up, but I think Jordan Davis gets to him a little quickly. So I think Georgia wins.
I think Georgia's going to cover. A lot of people thought that Florida game would have been close. It ended up being a 27-point game. Kentucky was still 17, and they were number 11 at the time. Arkansas, College Game Day. Arkansas was 8 at the time. They lost 37-0. Whenever people think that the Bulldogs could lose, they always just blow out their opponents. I think Georgia wins big.
I forgot that was Game Day. That was so long ago.
Yeah, I think Georgia wins big in Tennessee. All right, Big Ten West game. This is a big one. Minnesota and Iowa. Both teams are 4-2 in the Big Ten. They are tied for first place in the West with the Badgers of Wisconsin and the Purdue Boilermakers. Iowa's favored by 5 at home. Loser gets a game back of first place. Winner stays in first place. So big game in Kinnick. Ryan, who you got in this one?
Before we get to that, I want to talk about a pretty prominent story about Minnesota coming out of Portage Central. Shout out to our good buddy Tyler Stolsky for getting the offer from PORTAGE to play at Minnesota. We're going to talk about more about him and his Mustangs later. But we're proud of you, T. Stolsk. We love you. And go shock the world on Friday. However,
I echo that statement here, by the way. Ryan, go ahead.
What'd you say?
I said I echo that statement.
Okay. It's at Kinnick?
It is at Kinnick at 3:30.
Oh, boy.
3:30 window is pretty good for Iowa normally, but Purdue did beat them in that window.
But the thing is, Minnesota just lost to Illinois.
Minnesota did just lose to Illinois. They also lost to Bowling Green week after that. Or they lost to Bowling Green and then won their next 4 games after that, which was Purdue, Nebraska, Maryland, Northwestern, which aren't great teams. I guess Purdue's solid now, but
I hate to do this.
They came off an awful loss with 4 big wins. So
I hate to do this. After just shouting out my buddy T. Stolsk, I think Iowa wins. I don't know what's going on with Minnesota. And they don't have, their running game was decent, but Iowa's defense is still really good. Their offense, as I've said past couple of weeks, their offense is awful. Iowa's offense is awful.
Yeah, and this is interesting because the Big Ten West, there's 4 teams in first place. Purdue and Wisconsin are pretty hot right now. Minnesota, they just lost Illinois. They definitely aren't. Nebraska or Iowa is not looking much better either. They are coming off a win, but that's a 17-12 ugly win in Evanston against Northwestern. The weeks before that, blowout loss to Wisconsin and a blowout loss at home to Purdue. So both teams that are still in first place, not playing great. So whoever wins this game is going to need that momentum to try to keep that place in the standings. All right.
Hold on. I didn't get my pick. I like the heavy under, and I'll take Iowa to win outright.
All right. 3:30, a newly ranked team, UTSA, the University of Texas San Antonio, hosting Southern Miss, who's 1-8 and 0-5 in the Conference USA. Their lone win against Grambling State, 37-0 in their second game of the season. This game looks to be a blowout. So Ryan, what are your thoughts? By the way, UTSA is at home and favored by 33 points.
I think UTSA wins, but my question is that one of the sibling schools of UT played Illinois. It was either UTEP or UTSA. I'm pretty sure it's UTSA. Can we fact?
I can confirm that UTSA did play Illinois and won.
They played them tough, right?
They won.
Oh, they won. Okay,
They won Illinois 37-3.
I'll take UTSA. Are they undefeated? Yes.
Yeah, they're undefeated. They're ranked. Illinois came off the week 0 win against Nebraska this year, and everyone thought that they were going to be pretty good, and then lost to UTSA, which looked to be a pretty damning loss. But looking at that now, UTSA is playing pretty good football, so not bad for them. All right, last ranked game in the 3:30 window. The Boilermakers, 6-3, 4-2 in the Big Ten. They have been hot as of late. They beat Michigan State. They beat Michigan State. They went to Nebraska and beat Nebraska. They did lose at home against Wisconsin a few weeks ago, but the week before that, went to Iowa and won 24-7. So 3:30 on ABC. Purdue plays at Ohio State. Ohio State, big favorites, favored by 21 points. And a pretty huge over-under at 62.5. So Vegas expecting a lot of offense and a lot of Buckeye offense, to say the least. Ryan, 46 degrees in Columbus. Does Purdue have any magic left in them for a third top 5 win this season?
See, the thing is, I really, really, really want to pick Purdue. And that's because, I got a lot of connections to Purdue, of course. We've been, at it for a little bit, about a decade. But I got a lot of close friends on Purdue's side. Jay Nasty, if you're listening, I love you, man. And me being a Michigan fan, I really want to take Purdue, but I just can't, because here's the thing: you can't do it 3 times. Now that Purdue's ranked, there is a chance it happens. Because Ohio State's defense is very shaky, and I hate it. They have 0 NFL players on their team as of right now. I think Zach Harrison will emerge next year. However, I think Ohio State wins. I'm sorry. I love the over. A lot of offense. As I say, a lot of offense. I do think George Karlaftis has a good game. But I think Ohio State wins. Yes, Drew. Big Purdue guy.
So you said
what you gotta say?
So you said Purdue can't do it 3 times in a season. Everyone said they can't do it twice in a season.
Well, now that they're ranked. Now that they're ranked, it's different.
And beat Michigan State. I do think that Purdue will lose this weekend. However, I do think the 21 points in Vegas is pretty disrespectful to the
21?
Yeah, 21.
Oh, yeah.
Ohio State favored by 21 points. A lot of people think this is disrespectful, which means Ohio State's probably going to end up covering. But, I think Purdue plays them semi-close. And I honestly, it's either going to be Ohio State winning by 14 or probably around that 21, or it's going to be Purdue winning by double digits. I don't see this game being a single-digit game.
Whoa.
I think if Ohio State's on, they'll win by double digits, and Purdue. Anytime Purdue plays these games, they lose by a lot or win by a decent amount. They never really leave it. They decide in the first half what's going to happen. So I do think Ohio State's going to win. I think Purdue covers.
So, big Purdue guy, eh? Drew, I hate to do this to you, but can you name 5 players on Purdue's roster?
Got a selfie with Jackson Anthrop.
Whoa.
This weekend.
That's 1.
Nice. On the field.
1.
I could do more than this, but I'll leave it at 5 for this. You got backup quarterback Jack Plummer. You got starting
2.
quarterback Aiden O'Connell.
3.
You have wide receiver David Bell.
4.
You have wide receiver Milton Wright. You have Xander Horvath playing
6.
back. I can keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
I'm going to leave it at that 5 or 6.
You forgot Brock Thompson?
Of course I know Brock Thompson.
Whatever.
Great
All
catch
right.
to the back of the end zone.
Keep going.
Very disrespectful of you not thinking I knew the guy. I did a lot of work to get a selfie with Jackson Anthrop, and Ryan did not think I even knew who he was. But
What? Okay, keep going.
we will go to the 4 o'clock window. Michigan State.
State. Keep going. State.
State going to cover the 13.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's a wannabe trap game. Maryland stinks.
Okay, College Game Day is going to Oxford as Ole Miss hosts Texas A&M this weekend at 7 o'clock. A&M's favored by 2.5. It's top 15 matchup. Both teams kind of out of the playoff contention, but should be a fun one.
So this comes down to who I want to win, and I think who will win. I'm pretty sure Ole Miss in the division with Alabama.
They are, I believe.
Yeah, so I think Ole Miss is down for the count. So I want A&M to win so that Alabama doesn't go to the championship. However, I think Lane makes a huge statement that they can still make New Year's 6, and I think Ole Miss wins. My hatred for Texas A&M continues.
All right, Notre Dame going to Virginia.
Who cares?
7:30.
Notre Dame.
Okay. Another 7:30 game. ACC is not a good conference this year. However,
This is a big game.
the best 2 teams in the conference, both from the state of North
Mad
Carolina.
disrespect to Pitt.
North Carolina State is going to Wake Forest. Wake's favored by 2. The disrespect of putting 2 of the best teams in the conference on the ACC network, first off. But
That is bad.
if Wake Forest would have won last week, this most likely would have been College Game Day. 2 really strong teams, I guess, from the ACC, if that's what you want to call us, the top teams in the ACC. So like I said, Wake's favored by 2. They have 1 loss. They're still undefeated in conference. North Carolina State has 1 loss in conference. Who's winning this one, Ryan?
Oh boy. We gotta wrap it up here. Let's go Wake Forest quickly.
All right, Coach O, one of his last home games at LSU, and I believe, so he's got A&M to end the season. So he's got a few more, but Coach O and LSU hosting 25 Arkansas on Saturday night at 7:30. Ryan.
Well, you know that Coach O, he done for the season. However, I think they do beat Arkansas. I'm a big Sam Pittman guy. I like Arkansas, but I think it's Death Valley at night. You can't beat it.
All right, now how about this game, which I think is very interesting? Number 10 Oklahoma State. They play some pretty exciting football.
OSU, it's over.
But they host TCU.
No. Wannabe trap game as well. Oklahoma State.
TCU beat Baylor last week with their new head
no.
coach is 1-0.
No.
Jerry Kill. All right.
No.
10:30 Washington State playing at Oregon in Pac-12 after dark. Anything can really happen here. Oregon's ranked 3. Oregon's favored by 14 at home. Washington State interim head coach Ryan.
The greatest college fight song in the land prevails.
And San Diego State and Nevada in an actually pretty good game. 8-1 San Diego State, who's ranked 22, playing the 7-2 Nevadas. So Ryan,
The Nevada Wolfpack,
yes, the Wolfpack,
who beat Purdue 2 years ago.
Correct.
Fighting Brady Hoax. Stay with it.
And then lastly,
The big one.
Lastly, we go back to noon, the second biggest Big Ten game of the day. Michigan at Penn State on ABC. Michigan favored by 1.5. I believe Penn State was favored a few days ago. This is basically a pick'em game. Penn State 6-3 have lost a few, but they're at home. Michigan coming in. Is Michigan going to prevail?
So here's what I got to say about this game. I think, so Harbaugh is undefeated at non-night games at Penn State. And so, I think James Franklin has kind of lost his guys. Oh, sorry, his fans. Definitely not his guys. But he's lost his fans. But Happy Valley doesn't care. Penn State will be ready. And it's all about if Michigan can play defense. And more importantly, can they play offense? Because this Penn State defense is scary. You got guys all over the place. Tariq Castro-Fields, Jaquan Brisker, Joey Porter Jr. I'm not sure of many of the front seven, but they got good backs. And I just, after what I saw, I said this on Ant Wright's post-game green room, I just didn't see much from Michigan's receivers, except the one downfield shot to CJ late in the game, that Michigan can hang with these backs of Penn State. I think Michigan's defense will be fine. They just have to get their corners in check. And I don't think Jamon Green's going to play. So, DJ Turner, once again, is going to have to step up. And Vince Gray. And, this is just so tough. This is tough. Because it could really go either way. But I think Michigan pulls it out. If they get their guys healthy, I think it's a lot. I think it's not as much of a close game, but it depends on all if Blake Corum plays, if Andrew Anthony plays. Just judging on his Instagram Snapchat story last week, he's done for the year. Eric All might have to play to make this a less close of a game. But it's gonna be a tough one. But I think Michigan pulls it out. I think Cade McNamara shows his true leadership.
Michigan's winning this game. Michigan's winning by possibly double digits.
Really?
Michigan and Ohio State will both be undefeated, playing each other for the Big Ten East.
You have earned my respect, sir.
Ohio State, Michigan will be for the Big Ten East on November 27th.
So does this mean that Michigan State beats Ohio State Ohio State beats Michigan State next week?
Ohio State wins out.
Whoa.
Ohio State and Michigan both win out until that game.
What if we win out?
And the champion, or the winner of that game, will be the Big Ten East champion, which
What
will
if
most
we win
likely be
out?
the Buckeyes. All right.
What if we win out?
All right.
We are now joined by a very special guest, Eric Fernandez. Eric, how we doing?
Doing great. It's nice to be here, Ryan.
So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be previewing the third USA-Mexico matchup of the year. This time in the World Cup qualifiers. We've had this date circled. I know after the Nations League victory from the United States, we had this circled. We didn't know we were going to have the podcast out by then, but we got this date circled. However, we did get one matchup in before we got here with the Gold Cup. So I just want to give a little bit of background. We have not talked about USMNT yet on this podcast. I'm a pretty big USMNT guy, you know. I mean, I feel like everybody should. International soccer is so awesome. The one thing that people get misconception with soccer, if that's even a word, is how it's boring and how there's nothing to play for and that there's ties. International soccer, like with the tournaments and the Gold Cup is so underrated. It's awesome. So, USMNT coming off of 2 wins against Mexico already this season, one in the Nations League, the 3-2 extra time victory for the United States, and then the extra time victory in the Gold Cup for the Gold Cup, USA's first Gold Cup victory or championship since 2017. Again, they lost to Mexico in the 2019 Gold Cup. So, Eric, what's your assessment of Mexico through this year? 2 losses to the United States. You got to think Tata Martino's on the hot seat if he loses again.
Indeed, he is in the hot seat. So let me bring it back to the first time they played this year. Was it the Gold Cup? Or was that
Nations League?
Nations League. Okay. So at the same time, Mexico also had half of its squad in the Olympics at the time. So half of them were playing in Tokyo at the same time that the other half was playing in the U.S., I think is where it was. And so it was split. It wasn't really a combination of our best players on that team. Definitely,
This is for the Gold Cup, right? The Gold Cup they didn't have.
The first time they played this year, so I believe that was the Gold Cup.
No, that's the Nations League.
That was the Nations League. Okay, during the Nations League, Mexico.
Actually, I don't think that's right. The Olympics were in July, and
so it was the Gold Cup.
It was the Gold Cup. Yes, it was the Gold Cup. Okay.
There we go.
Continue.
So as you can see, they did not have their best players on that lineup. The team chemistry was just not there. Had a lot of young guys testing a lot of new guys out. So I'm proud of them. Made it far, but I don't think that was our best team that we sent there to face the USA that day.
And I agree. So the Gold Cup is tricky because you get a lot of mixes of teams. Like you get the B and the C team for the U.S. I know no Pulisic, no McKinney, no Reyna in the Gold Cup. You got to rely on guys like Giassi Zardes, who's not seen much time in the World Cup qualifying. He didn't play much in the Nations League tournament either in Denver. But you got to get a lot of credit to at times, not as much after these couple shaky starts in qualifying to Greg Berhalter for embracing his young talent, like with Ricardo Pepi, with Serginho Dest. He had a goal against Jamaica. He's a big FCB guy. But I mean, I think if Greg doesn't make this World Cup, obviously, if he keeps struggling through these next couple heats of the World Cup qualifying, then he's gone too. So I think Tata and Greg are in similar positions, even though Greg has got 2 W's this year. So who is the biggest bright spot for Mexico on their team? I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified to answer that because I don't really follow. USA is the only one I follow, and if not other types of soccer, it's Liverpool. So, which we can get into that later in the podcast series.
Well, everybody's talking about USA has all this young talent, and it's they're not really looking towards Mexico. Mexico, they have that young talent. Actually, they have a lot of middle-aged talent as well. We've had a lot of our stars injured in these past 2 games over the summer where we played USA. Chucky Lozano was injured in the early stages of the Gold Cup, devastating head injury.
I saw that. That was tough.
It was brutal. Raul Jimenez, the year before that, he hasn't played a game until recently. He just started playing again for his club team, Wolves. And he's been scoring a lot as well. He's been succeeding. So we have those 2. They have enough experience, but they're still young, still fresh, but they can lead the team. Bright talent. We definitely want to keep our eyes on them, and they will be there tomorrow. Next, I want to focus on Diego Lainez. Diego Lainez. Very underrated. We call him the Mexican Messi. He has actually stirred up a lot of beef with the USA team. I don't know if you remember that highlight clip. I forgot whose ankles he broke. He took some ankles and then scored the goal, and then the guy got in his face.
Oh, yes, I know that play.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty dirty.
He's a bright star.
Oh, wait a minute. When was this? In the
2 years ago.
The 2019 Gold Cup?
Yeah.
I know what play this is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Here, I'll look it up here.
He's
Just to make
playing
sure.
over there in Spain with actually Guardado, who's also in the Mexican squad, more of a vet, if you will. And yeah, you definitely want to keep an eye out for him tomorrow. He's still young. He's 22. He hasn't made his impact on the game yet. He definitely will work on that tomorrow. Additionally, we have Cordova. Cordova's also good at distributing the ball. Similar playing style. Another bright midfielder. So Mexico has a good amount of those young players, but we're also relying a lot on our veterans, like Ochoa.
That Funes Mori guy from Argentina.
Mori.
That guy is a baller.
He's a beast.
He scared me a couple times when he was going up against Matt Turner in the Gold Cup final, but he's a baller.
Yeah,
that's a good pickup because he's originally Argentinian, correct?
He is, but he never played for Argentina. I don't think he actually grew up in Dallas and played high school soccer in Dallas. And then he's not a young player. He recently signed for the Mexico squad. Mexico had a few of these signings of older players that are kind of from other countries. Like Luis Romo is also Argentinian, and he had never played before. And I think there's one more, Henry Martin. I believe he's also from Argentina, and we picked him up as well because they wanted to play for the Mexico squad. They have Mexican blood. So they were signed and approved, and they've been showing out and they've been balling. Funes Mori has scored a lot of goals, even though he's slow paced. He knows how to make it work and finish the ball.
So what I have with this USA roster, some players that I really like. Well, first of all, some of these players are playing for pretty good clubs overseas, and I'm not the biggest outside of the EPL, I don't know jack squat about these other leagues. But when you got guys playing for Juventus, you got guys playing for Dortmund, and then you got guys playing for FCB with
Chelsea.
Dest. Well, that's EPL.
That
That's
is
EPL.
You're right.
So Dest, McKennie, and Gio Reyna, who had a goal. McKennie and Reyna both had goals in the Champions League or Nations League final. So they didn't play in the first thing of I don't know what it's called, like the first set of matches in October for USMNT, because I think Weston violated team rules, and I think Gio's been hurt for a while. I'm pretty sure he got hurt in the Nations League, and then he didn't play the second half, and then he got the beer bottle thrown at his head. So yeah, that's all I got with the roster. You got young guys like, as I said, Serginho Dest, Brennan Aronson, Ricardo Pepi, who had goals last month, I believe. Aronson. Oh no, he had one against Canada in October. And I really like Matt Turner. I'm not the biggest Zach Steffen guy. As Matt Turner, he proved himself in the Gold Cup after Ethan Horvath had that great game against Mexico. He kind of pushed his hype to the side. And, Matt Turner was coming in at 3 on the depth chart, entering the Gold Cup, and then he leaves as 1. So now he's a starter on the World Cup qualifying team, and if this team does make it to Qatar, I think he'll be the starting goalkeeper. And then you do got veterans like John Brooks, and let me scroll down here. If you want to call him DeAndre Yedlin, he's a bit of a veteran. He's one of my favorite players of all time. He's phenomenal. You got Kellen Acosta, who's been on the team for a little bit. And then a guy that I haven't been too fond of is Paul Arriola. So Paul Arriola, he doesn't score much. It's soccer, so nobody scores that much. But, he's just not my favorite. And he had a play that really put me over the edge with Paul Arriola. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but, I'm just a stupid 17-year-old critic that doesn't even know what he's talking about. But he had a nice opportunity to score a goal in the Gold Cup final, where I'm not sure how many of my viewers or my listeners are soccer connoisseurs, but he had a wide open net, and I think Giazzi Zardes runs right in front of him. The ball slips from Ochoa, or I don't remember. It wasn't Ochoa who was the goalkeeper.
Talavera.
Yeah, Talavera. And he just misses the wide open net. So I'm just not. Paul Arriola just rubs me the wrong way, but hopefully he can bounce back. And then I haven't even talked about Christian Pulisic yet. So this Wonder Boy. Oh, you're shaking your head. What's up? Well, before I get my thoughts, what's up with CP10?
He just gets on my nerve. He was very arrogant when he scored that penalty on Ochoa. Top right, I think it's a little bit of luck when you blast it, and he took off his shirt. I just think it was unsportsmanlike celebration. Not saying that Mexico would do it any differently, but
well, can we pull up
if you're gonna celebrate a penalty,
can we look right here? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this guy taking his shirt off. Who is that? Oh, that's Giovanni Dos Santos.
Yeah, his dad died that day though, so I'm sure he had a reason to be happy. Like
I didn't
score
know that.
for his dad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, good thing I knew who that was. Oh, that's Jonathan. Not Giovanni. That's Jonathan.
Yeah, that's Jonathan.
I know my stuff with Mexico soccer. So Christian Pulisic, man, this guy, he loves his country. I'll say that. But for those of you listening, what has he done? Not much. He hasn't won a World Cup. He's not done much with the U.S.
Has he gone to a World Cup?
Is that what I just said?
Oh, I thought you said he hasn't won one. Okay. Sorry.
I might have said one. I got issues with that. But he has not gone to a World Cup. He didn't do much in the Gold Cup. He didn't do anything because, that's not his tournament to play in. But he hasn't won anything yet. So, minus the what's it called? The Nations League, where he cemented his finger over his mouth to all of Denver, and it was amazing. That was a great day. I actually watched that game at Drew's house. We're recording this before Drew gets here, but this will be in the middle of the podcast. I'm sure Drew's got a lot of stuff to say about that. But Christian Pulisic, he's won a Champions League, correct?
Yes, he has.
So I think he's coming back from an injury. He didn't play last month, I don't believe. And I think that this will be if he wants to continue, he'll never be hated. But if he wants to be stamp his name as the Wonder Boy in all of U.S. soccer, he's got to qualify for this World Cup.
That's true.
And maybe even make it to the, I'm going to use a little tournament, NCAA tournament, but he's got to make it to the second weekend. He's got to make it to the Sweet 16, the round of 16. So yeah, I still love Christian Pulisic. I love all these players. But you just got to beat Mexico. I don't care what the record is this year. And you can tie now, which I don't like. Ties in soccer and in the NFL suck. But yeah, I just don't like ties. And if you want to give, and this game is at home. It's in Cincinnati. It's not at Paul Brown Stadium. It's at the MLS, or it's at some soccer stadium. But
in Vegas, right?
No, it's in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Okay.
So it's not at Paul Brown Stadium. It's at some soccer stadium. Anyway, I don't care what the record is this year. If you're Greg Berhalter, you got to win this game. If you're Christian Pulisic, you got to cement a message to the rest of CONCACAF that you're going to the World Cup. Send a message to the rest of the world, because after USA won the Gold Cup, they were ranked 10th in FIFA, 10th. And if you go in entering qualifying 10th in the world on this planet, and you don't make the World Cup. I'm channeling my inner Taylor Twellman, which I could drop some clips of that legendary rant. If people know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So, yes, you have your hand up, sir.
All right, so Mexico is actually currently ranked number 9th in the FIFA World Rankings, and USA has actually gone down since then.
I would imagine.
Which is surprising to me because they did beat Mexico twice, and Mexico hasn't moved. So I think this game is really going to show if USA wins it, then they might move up in the rankings again, because they did get beat out by Denmark for that number 10 spot, and they've recently.
You gotta love Denmark.
Dropped beyond that. Oh yeah, Denmark. Denmark's a whole different topic. How they got robbed in the Euros.
Robbed? Oh, stop it! Stop it! I know what you're getting at. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge England fan too. He's getting on that England cheated.
They did.
Okay. They did not cheat. Okay.
So first of all, there were 2 balls on the field, and
this is a whole other debate. But listen, soccer fans are okay. Listen, it is unfortunate that Kasper Schmeichel, if that's how you say his name, had a laser in his eye. But that is unfortunate. The players can't do anything about that. Okay, but we're gonna look at the CONCACAF table right now. So it's got Mexico in first with 14 points. USA right behind them because they had the tiebreak. Oh, there is no tiebreaker because thank God. Thank ties for not having the tiebreaker against USA-Canada. So USA has 11 and Canada has 10 because Canada and USA tied in October. Scary team. I know USA beat them, but I really like Jamaica. I got a lot of respect for Andre Blake. I also like Panama. But if USA can just win the games that they're supposed to, and I don't know after coming into this year that this game was a lock to win, but after beating these guys twice already this year, you got to keep the ball rolling, Greg Berhalter. And as Stu Holden and Taylor Twellman say all the time, you got to win your games at home. You can't waste. You cannot waste games at home with ties when you could have more points and wins, because you're not going to have many games at home now. I'm pretty sure they played 3 or 4 games at home. But you got to beat Mexico at home. You just got to do it. And if you want to go to the World Cup, you got to win this game. Now, I think we covered everything. Do we want to give predictions?
One thing I want to say is
here we go.
The Gold Cup game, it wasn't a runaway win. It wasn't a win to be overly celebrated. USA, they barely walked away with it in extra time. And sometimes it's a stroke of luck. They scored off a penalty. Mexico was also granted a penalty. Unfortunately, did not score that penalty.
This is in the Nations League.
This is Gold Cup, I think.
No.
Because then when they played the second time, that was the Nations League.
Incorrect.
That was awesome.
The Nations League. The Nations League was in June.
Okay.
That's right.
Nations League.
I know for a fact. June 3rd, 2021.
Okay.
No, I don't even know. Same day as the Floyd Mayweather fight. Keep going.
The second time that they played, I mean, it was just a dull game. There wasn't really a lot of shots on goal. I believe it was 1-1, and then in like the end of added time, USA scores off a set piece, and what do you know? They have the height over the Mexican team. Little header, gets on goal. Not much you can do.
June 6th. That was my second guess. Okay. The one thing I totally underappreciated. I underappreciated free kicks, and after Miles Robinson scored that free kick, every free kick now to me is like, yeah, every free kick now is just like a wish granted. So
there's a little bit of luck that goes into it.
I agree. Yes.
None of these were runaway wins. These were last minute win by one goal wins. So I mean, you could still see a tie tonight, or you could see a runaway from Mexico. You could see a runaway from USA. I know USA doesn't have Pulisic tonight. They do have.
What?
I believe so.
I'm gonna fact check that, but keep going.
Mexico, on the other hand, does have most of their good team. They do not have goalkeeper Guillermo Ochoa, but they do have Talavera. They do have Raul Jimenez and Chucky Lozano back from head injuries. They haven't played on the squad in a long time. Raul Jimenez hasn't played soccer in like over a year besides his club team just in the past few months.
Yeah, he's back. So, he's been back with Chelsea. I swear to God.
Yeah, but
so Pulisic's back. No, we're moving on.
No, but
let's get to the picks. Let's get to picks.
I heard he's not playing tonight.
Picks. We're getting to picks. From what source?
From what source?
Yeah.
Did I hear that?
Yeah.
Jim Elias.
Oh.
Hardcore USA fan Jim Elias.
Jim, if you're listening, please confirm in the comments. But let's get to some picks, okay? You're going on my mirror, my mirror with this marker that you have in your hand. You've had it in your hand the entire day, or the entire time we've been recording. You got Mexico 3, USA 0 with goals from Corona, Jimenez, and Lozano. Explain, sir.
Well, it's just a common trend. Like every time I turn on the Mexico games, you always see Corona scoring in like the first 10 minutes. Whether it's a stroke of luck, he steals the ball from the goalie. He scores right away in like the first 10. Then he doesn't really have as good of a game. Jimenez, I'm expecting a goal from him simply because he hasn't been on the squad in a while, and he's been scoring a lot for the Wolves. And I believe after that first goal in the first half from Corona, Mexico's not going to score as much in the first half. I think their goal's not going to come till like mid-second half. And then I have Lozano in the 88th minute. Lozano always scores last-minute bangers. He's going to hit it from the top of the 18. It's going to go top right. We already know how this goes. So 6-minute Corona, 68th Jimenez, 88th Lozano.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, go.
This isn't soccer related, but if we have not touched on this in the podcast, we haven't planned on it. But Odell Beckham is signing with the Rams.
Right now?
Right now.
Good for him.
Finalizing.
Get out of Cleveland.
Hey, he's going to get carried by Stafford. But keep going. This is soccer, not OBJ poop talk.
Yeah, besides, I mean, what are your score predictions, Ryan?
You know, think about soccer, especially how these two teams have been playing so far this year. I think this game ends in a 1-1 tie. And it pains me to say that, because there always has to be a winner and a loser. But soccer just takes that away. So I think USA gets down early. I think they get down early. It's gonna be like a fluke. It's gonna be like a fluke goal that Matt Turner doesn't get to in time, or some. I mean, that's not really a fluke, but just something, maybe like a possible offside. That could be the fluke. But I think that USA will rebound quickly. I mean, no, sorry, not quickly, but they'll rebound late. But there's not enough time to get the win. So I mean, I know we just talked about how you have to win games at home, but when you're tying a game to like the second best team in CONCACAF, that's a little different. Like when you're tying games to Canada, or who else did USA tie to? When you go on the road and tie to El Salvador, that's not gonna fly.
Don't sleep on 0-3 to Panama. Big loss.
Anyway, I think it's a 1-1 tie. I think. Yeah, I just said it. So it's a 1-1 tie. So. Yes.
All right. I think we should discuss the bad blood and the history of these teams.
Sure.
I don't even know the first time they played, 1960 something. Just from the beginning, there's been bad blood formed between these teams. They one of the most notable games is when USA eliminated Mexico from the World Cup in the round of 16, I want to say. Late 80s, around there. Just some.
I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea what you're talking about. Please keep going.
Other history. Let's see. When they play in Estadio Azteca, the USA team is always horribly slandered by the Mexican crowd. The Mexican crowd has not been known to behave or to be polite to its adversaries, especially when it's USA in the heart of Mexico, Mexico City.
I will say,
Azteca.
Estadio Azteca is a fantastic name for a stadium.
It is.
They should rename the big house to Estadio Michigan. That sounds awesome. But keep going.
And then it's also bad blood when we're playing in Columbus, Ohio.
Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
I hate Columbus, Ohio too.
In history,
I hate Columbus, Ohio too.
In history, when they've played in Columbus, is what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
When they've played in Columbus, USA fans have also slandered Mexico. So a lot of it comes from the fan bases, but there's also frequent fights on the field. We haven't seen it this year.
Yes, we have.
As much.
Okay, but with the Colorado incident, the Denver incident, with the bottle throwing and the shushing and the shirt taking off, and then the Gio Reyna bottle donk. Yep. That happened. But keep going, please.
Actually, who was it? Guardado. After he missed the penalty, he was quite frustrated, and then right before the final whistle was blown, there was a little altercation, and Guardado just grabbed somebody's throat. Like, he grabbed a USA player's neck.
Interesting.
It didn't even, nobody even talked about it. It was just, brief. But I vividly remember him, grabbing some USA guy's throat. I think it was McKinney or something. Yeah. But that's a little, over the top. In history, though, what would you say some of the bigger fights are that you remember?
I don't remember.
I just remember Diego Lainez versus whatever his name was. It was with an M. Some USA defender. He's not even on the team anymore, but he tried to start beef with Diego Lainez. Remember, he went like this?
Nope.
The height thing?
Nope. Don't remember.
You're too little for me?
Nope.
And then Alvarez came up, and he was taller than that guy. What was his name?
I don't know.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
No.
Munez or something. Some American player. Some American player. Migas or something like that.
Keep going, I'll think. But,
that's all. Just the bad blood between the teams.
It's a great rivalry. It's one of the best rivalries in sports.
Yeah.
But I just in a game that can't be won, in a game that you can tie in full time. I don't see much escalating. Sorry, I said that wrong. I don't see much mattering. If they tie this game, it will matter, but it won't be as big a deal if they tie. But if someone wins this, someone's losing their job. If Greg loses at home, I know Alexi Lalas said this in his famous rant. There's a lot of great U.S. soccer rants, but when Jurgen Klinsmann lost at home to Mexico, it was compared to Bruce Arena's loss at home to Costa Rica, and how that was detrimental to his job. I think with the results that we've seen so far in qualifying from Greg, I think Greg's out if they lose this game. I really do. If they lose, if they tie, he's back. But if they lose, he's out after this heat.
Same situation with Tata Martinez.
You can't lose to the U.S.
He can't lose to the U.S., especially after he's lost already this summer twice. It's just embarrassing, honestly, when Mexico has choked games. He didn't do too great in the years leading up to this. Some questionable decisions in the World Cup, the previous World Cups. And we do have a young coach who coached at the Olympics. He took Mexico all the way to third place amongst teams like South Korea beating, they faced South Korea, Spain, Brazil. They faced some hard teams, and they were able to make to the third place in the Olympics. And that was only half the squad, while the other half was on in the Gold Cup. Or losing to the United States, but continue, please. That is true. That younger coach, I don't even know his name, but he did do a good job.
Sounds awesome.
We do, if Tata's gone, I'd recommend him.
All right. Yeah, I don't got any ideas for coaching for U.S. Stu Holden, he's a good guy. He's a good name. Bring Jurgen back? Heck no. All right. Is that all we got? You still got more, man.
I do have a question.
Oh, I have a question.
Top 3 current CONCACAF players.
Oh boy. I don't know. Alphonso Davies, Christian Pulisic, and Tajon Buchanan.
So I see that was all Americans on that list.
Nope. 2 of those guys are Canadian.
Wait, who?
Alphonso Davies.
Oh, okay, yes, Davies, yes.
And Tajon Buchanan.
I do not know Buchanan.
He played in the
I believe
Gold
I
Cup.
should. Interesting picks there. I'm going to have to put Chucky on the list. If I were to do one from every...
I don't know much about Mexico. I don't. I do like Andre Blake, though. As I said earlier, Andre Blake is great.
You will know tonight. You will find out tonight.
All right, well...
I will have to say, from Mexico, my top choice, Chucky.
Yep.
Chucky Lozano. USA, Christian Pulisic. And
Yep.
Canada, yes, Alphonso Davies. He is a baller.
All right. Well, Eric, appreciate you coming on. Had a fantastic conversation. This is might have been our best interview so far.
Best
I mean, it's
interview.
our only interview so far, but it could go up in the book, so appreciate it, man.
It's an honor.
Good luck,
Thank you.
and thank you so much for coming on.
All right.
All right, we had a lot of football talk. Let's switch gears now to college basketball. This is opening week of the hoop season. If we look at specifically the Big Ten went 13-1 quite yet, I don't think. I know every team won except for Nebraska, who fell short to Western.
Come on,
Illinois.
Nebraska ball.
But,
Come on.
however, all the teams looking good. Top of the conference, Michigan. They looked very good against the MAC favorite in Buffalo
That's what I'm
last
saying.
night. Purdue looked very good on Tuesday against Bellarmine. I think that's how you say it. Illinois looked great last night. All these highly touted Big Ten teams are looking good. So,
Can I say one thing real quick? I love college basketball. I love it so much. College football is my favorite sport, but I would die for college basketball. I really would.
college basketball is fantastic, and a lot of people just watch for March Madness.
We sleep in May.
Yeah, no, regular season's better than March Madness. You get the
We sleep
you get
in May.
hoops every single night. All right.
Rothstein, if you're listening, we would love to have you on the pod. We sleep in May.
All right, Ryan, let's start to talk about this basketball.
Jawan Howard on the
season.
Fab Vibe.
Ryan, did you have any specifics? Did you want to talk about your Wolverines?
First, shout out Caleb first. I want to get into some record projections, as here is my projection for Michigan. I have Michigan going 26-4. Actually, I'm going to edit that right now. 28-2 with losses formerly at Rutgers, at Rutgers, Purdue, Michigan State, Ohio State. I think how Rutgers and Ohio State looked on Tuesday, was it? Sure.
Yes, Rutgers played on Tuesday.
Okay.
No, Rutgers played Wednesday.
Ohio State played Tuesday. Based on how they looked, that's an embarrassment, an absolute embarrassment. And if Akron just plays better defense, they lose to a MAC team.
No.
What do you mean?
So you didn't watch the game. Most people didn't watch the game.
I watched the game.
Game wasn't on TV. The Rutgers
Rutgers. Sorry.
Rutgers played Lehigh, who normally isn't that great, but they shot the lights out, especially in the first half against Rutgers. So I mean, not great, but I don't know. I don't think that team's going to shoot that good the rest of the season. That was a pretty strong performance by Lehigh, I think. But yeah.
Okay, so Michigan is now going to go 28-2 with losses at Purdue and at Michigan State, all based on environment. I know this for a fact. Michigan is the better team than both Michigan State and Purdue. Yes, it's true. It is true. Michigan, well, here's what I have to say. Michigan and Purdue are two of the most deep teams in the country. The country. Michigan, anything short of a national title this year is a failure. You got my boy, my best friend, Eli Brooks, coming back for his 5th year. As you know, I am the president and co-founder of the Eli Brooks fan club. Eli, I love you so much.
At Stu Sandler.
At Stu Sandler on Twitter. He does a lot for the fan club as well. And I even met Eli. I might put up a picture if I'm not lazy. I'll put up a picture of me and Eli at the big house. He was sitting in our section, which adds another level of greatness to Section 17. However, that's not it. Hunter Dickinson is back. Caleb Houston comes in. Not even starting. Musa Diabate is coming. He played fantastic against Buffalo. And I mean, we got to keep going here. But my goodness, national championship or bust for this team. Now, Michigan State. I have Michigan State at 21-8. Well, sorry, 20-9 because I had them beating Kansas. Because I have zero respect for Kansas. I just don't like Kansas. Well, actually, I think it's 21-9. 21-9 now because that was equal 30 games. I don't like Kansas at all. At all. I do not like them. I don't think they're that good. And State just played a bad game. I think State. This might come back to bite me in the butt. But I think State is a good team. And I think that they will compete in the Big Ten that looked a little shaky the past couple days. I have State losing at Maryland, Indiana, Michigan, at home against Illinois, at Iowa, and, okay, this is not right. I have them losing at home against Purdue, but I'm not beating Purdue. I'm going to change that real quickly.
So here's how it's going to go for Michigan State.
Let's hear it, Drew.
First off, do you think they're going to lose at Purdue?
At Purdue, yes.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen because they don't play at Purdue this season.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. That you know.
I will say I think Michigan State, they're going to struggle early on in the season. They'll lose some games they shouldn't in the Big Ten early.
They do play Loyola.
February, when we get to that year, I think they're going to start to win some more games. They'll beat either a Michigan, a Purdue, and Illinois, a team like that. They'll start to be able to come up. They'll be about a 6th seed in the Big Ten tournament. They'll make the NCAA tournament. And in Michigan State fashion, they'll probably do better in the tournament than Purdue and Michigan. But,
what?
Even though they're not the better team.
Wait a minute. Hold your horses.
But I don't like...
Not Michigan.
Watching
Stop.
Michigan State...
Stop. Oh, wait a minute. We're rewinding.
Watching Michigan State, they did not look that good. But, I don't know. Just Michigan State fashion for something like that to happen. They're going to... be fine in February and March. They'll go in momentum. Yeah. Spartan way.
Michigan State lost in the first 4 last year.
COVID year last year doesn't count. Continue.
Oh, shut up! Be quiet! Stop! Hold your horses, Purdue losing. Purdue losing in the first round. Stop talking.
If we
Stop. Please stop.
The definition of COVID year is Indiana.
Don't put
football.
me on. No.
The Indiana football is the definition.
Stop. True. Wild true.
They had a great season.
Shut up.
A one-off.
Stop.
And this season they don't have an FBS win, or they have one.
Please stop talking. Please stop talking.
Yeah.
Please stop talking.
I think Michigan's gonna have the better record. They're the better team. I think Michigan State's gonna somehow end up better, or have more wins in the NCAA tournament than both Purdue and Michigan. You can quote me on that for March.
I didn't even catch that last sentence. I don't know why I'm saying this now, because after what you just said, I think State, off of Kansas, I think State comes out unscratched heading into Big Ten play. I know, it's crazy, but then it starts to get rough in the Big Ten season.
They will lose at Butler.
I can't believe you just said that. Why would you think that Michigan is on... Oh, whatever. Moving on. Michigan is not on the same level as Purdue in any level.
In regular season play, Purdue is...
You're done. You know what? You're done. You're done. You're done. You're going on mute. Okay, off of mute. Transitioning. We're going to start getting into our all Big Ten award picks. Drew, since you took the longest to create your list, how about you go first?
So I just want to first...
And also, he only made first team. First team. Lazy. I made this on Tuesday.
No, I made... As this is the Ryan Canfield Show, I let him do 3 teams. I'm just going to do it 1. We have a long episode. We don't need all the time.
I made myself do 3 teams.
Guard.
And a bunch of other picks.
So we did 2 guards and 3 forwards / centers. on the team. So I have Jaden Ivey out of Purdue, one of the most exciting players in the sport. Been playing really good last year. I think he'll keep it up this year. He's got Geo Baker at Rutgers. Feels like he's been there for 10 years. He's going to play well as he always does. Trace Jackson Davis. He has a lot of recognition all the time. I think he's a solid player. I don't think he is a great... Well, I think he's a little overrated. But I do think that he'll probably make the team because he ends up doing that all the time. I just think he looks a little lazy sometimes. But Kofi Coburn, he's I think like the leading vote getter for that right now in the preseason. He's been really good for his career at Illinois, and with Io gone, he'll get a lot more touches. And then to round that group out, Hunter Dickinson over in Ann Arbor. He was almost the National Player of the Year last year. So coming in this year, if he just gets a little better, then he should make that first team. Ryan, who is on your Big Ten first team?
I have Jaden Ivey, Poppy Bello. That's his rap name. Andre Curbelo, Ron Harper Jr., who had a great year last year. What are you doing? You're not seeing this, but Drew is editing my doc. He just deleted Trace Jackson Davis out of my doc. I just got thrown off guard. Trace Jackson Davis and then Hunter Dickinson. Listen, Jaden Ivey's great. I love him. I love how he wore the purple Kobe's every game last year. Andre Curbelo also wore the green Kobe's every game last year. Ron Harper Jr. had a great year last year. I think he continues. I'm going to spoil it right now. Geo Baker did not make any of my lists. He might be an honorable mention, but he did not have a good year last year. And he had a fantastic year in 2019. Well, we'll say 2020, because that's when really the Big Ten play started. But 2020, Geo Baker, he had that absolute dagger against Purdue the last week of the season. It was, oh my goodness. I remember watching that game with JJC, and oh my goodness, Geo Baker just did not miss that game. But he had a bad year last year, so I'm not sure. And I do think Rutgers takes a small step back, losing Jacob Young and Miles Johnson. Yeah, I saw that. Did you watch that video? It's a great video. Sorry, getting off track. But Kofi Coburn, who has been suspended due to... And Robbie Hummel had a fantastic rant about this. He's saying that Kofi Coburn should not have been suspended. And I agree with him. I don't have much respect for Kofi Coburn, but with Drew just wants to talk.
Well, I will just say, Robbie Hummel is now the new unofficial voice of Big Ten basketball. So,
congrats to Robbie Hummel, great friend of ours. We have both met Robbie Hummel. He's a great guy.
I've had great conversations about him and Joanne going to horror movies.
Oh my God, The Conjuring 2.
Yeah, great guy. I've known him for years with Purdue.
We go way back with Rob.
Yes, but now that Bob is pretty much the biggest.
His numbers in the Raptors at Mackey. We go way back with Rob.
He'll call games on ESPN and Big Ten Network this year, so congrats to Mr. Robbie Hummel.
Okay.
Anyway, keep going, Ryan.
Kofi Coburn should not be suspended. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at your list. Sorry. Trace Jackson Davis is my number 4 out of 5. TJD, he's great. There's nothing really wrong with his game except, he doesn't have a jump shot. But, that only matters in the NBA. And this is not the NBA. This is college basketball. We sleep in May. Hunter Dickinson, my boy. He's coming into this season with the big Dickinson energy, as seen on his NILT. I saw a lot of him working on his jump shot in this offseason. He's the same guy. Drew, just stop making me laugh. I've seen that video already. We're talking about the Barstool Bench Mob vlog. He just showed me a video of Jake Marsh talking with Jay Billis and Dan Shulman. Moving on.
Get off task here.
Moving on. Hunter Dickinson is amazing. I love him. He's going to do big things this year. Might even win the Naismith. Okay, so my second team. The old man himself, Jordan Bohannon. Max Christie, Caleb Houston, Trevion, I'm loving it, Williams,
He is going to get abused in the student section this year. But keep going.
in opposing student sections due to the McDonald's story that came out today. And then Kofi Coburn. J-Bo, he's great. He's just one of those guys that you don't want on the other side of the ball. Example like Matt McQuaid. He just shoots when you don't want him to shoot. He'll make shots, and he's just a regular point guard. I don't think he's ready for the NBA. That's why he came back. Is he an NBA player? No, but he's a great college guy, and I think I got some Iowa people that can back me up on that. Max Christie. All I've heard is state people just yapping about Max Christie, yapping about how he's going to be so good. I think Max Christie is fine. Will he be state's best player? Probably. But I don't know what to say other than he's just a mid-freshman. However, I think he'll be pretty good this year. I mean, stacking up against Michigan's freshman, he's pretty low on that list. But I think he'll have a good year. Caleb Houston. Spoiler alert, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Caleb had a great game against Buffalo, hailing from Canada via Montverde Academy. He can shoot it. He does everything you want. He's a tall guy. He'll be a one and done. He's already NBA ready, I think. Trevion Williams. I like Trevion a lot. He's been with it for a while. I think this is his third prominent year. Is he a grad student?
Trey? He's a senior.
So he's a true senior?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, Trevion Williams does it all except shoot it. Yes, true.
I love college basketball, but we do have some breaking news here on the football side of things.
Oh boy.
Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker.
No, stop it.
Is not going anywhere.
No!
According to the 97.1 The Ticket, Tucker will be signing a long-term extension with the Spartans that could pay him up to $8 million.
No! That is gut-wrenching.
It's quote-unquote Ryan Day money. Has not been signed yet, but it looks like Mel Tucker is staying in East Lansing. All right, continue with basketball, Ryan.
That is just... Oof. That is a gut punch. Continuing on. Kofi Coburn, I mean, he probably proved it last year, but I think he takes a step back this year, and Hunter Dickinson just shoves him aside. I really do. He quite possibly could be the second best center in the league, as I don't know who's up there with him, honestly. Looking at the national aspect, I mean, Chet Holmgren could be up there in the top 5, but I think Kofi takes a step back. He's still really solid. That was a little harsh saying that I had no respect for him. I got a lot of respect for Kofi. He's just a ball buster. Third team, Devontae Jones, who I did not see as much as I wanted to last night. But I think he'll get there, and I know I have not seen much about Devontae, but this is just my preseason rankings. These are my preseason ranks. We'll recap these in April, but my prediction is that Devontae Jones will be 13. Eli Brooks, my man, we talked about it. Eli, he's got the most experience, behind Jordan Bohannon, most experience in the league. I think he improves on his shooting. He could put up Defensive Player of the Year, or in the Big Ten at least, type numbers. I'm pretty sure there's the number one pick for that is Trent Frazier, who has not played yet this season. But he could be in the running for the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Next, Keegan Murray. Had a great year last year for Iowa. I think he takes a huge step forward, which is saying a lot. I think he had 24 points last night. I fell asleep, or on Tuesday I fell asleep. I did not watch the Iowa game. But I got a lot of respect for Keegan Murray. And this is going to come to a shock to a lot of people. I have E.J. Liddell on my third team I'm not the biggest EJ Liddell guy. I think he takes a step back this year. Don't really know why, but I got him there. A bit of a shocker. And then, rounding out my third team, I got Kudus Wahab. Here is my honorable, the transfer from Georgetown. He's now at Maryland. My honorable mentions: Tyson Walker, Moussa Diabate, Jamari Wheeler, Boo Booey, Gabe Brown, Trent Frazier, and Caleb First. And now my other picks, Drew, you could probably do this on the fly. Who is your Big Ten Player of the Year?
I think, the front runner right now is Hunter Dickinson. Jaden Ivey has a chance. I don't think they'll give it to a Purdue guy. If Purdue wins the conference, I think Jaden Ivey deserves it. But, we'll see. Purdue is so deep, and same with Michigan. I honestly don't know who's going to be scoring the most points, be doing the most stuff on the court for Purdue. So, probably, I'll go Hunter Dickinson. It's probably the safe bet. If I put money on it right now, Hunter Dickinson.
That's what I got. I got Hunter at the Big Ten Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, Trent Frazier, as I just alluded to. Coach of the Year. If I have what I have, you're definitely going to have what I have. I got Matt Painter. I think as the year goes on, this will be negated for what I say in the next couple seconds. But I think Matt Painter has the best chance to make it to the Final Four in a long, long time. If you told me that 2019 team was an overtime thriller away from the Final Four, I would say that this team would be up there at the national championship. They got experience, and I think Matt Painter is the best coach in the Big Ten. However, a dark horse, Mike Woodson, and here's why. I think he brings Indiana back to the Big Ten tournament, and I don't think that's enough for him to get the honor, but I think he should be in that conversation. Brings a forgotten blue blood back to where they belong. Freshman of the Year, Caleb Houston. Sorry, Max Christie stands, but it's Caleb Houston all the way. And I think Moussa Diabate before Max Christie. Sixth man of the year, I have Zach Edey. However, Zach Edey started over Trevion Williams on Tuesday. Are you sure that's correct, Drew?
Zach Edey started.
That's what I
Painter
said.
likes to do this. Just getting Edey some reps. I think Trey's going to end up starting in a few weeks. But
Hopefully that pick age as well. So now we're going to go off of Joe Lunardi's first bracketology picks, and let me get it up here real quick on ESPN. If you want to follow along and answer our question on Instagram, we have the picks. Well, we have the community poll, and then we have the link to the bracketology in our Instagram post. So if you want to follow along with me and Drew, that'd be pretty cool if you wanted to do that. So, coming out of the West, I have the 1 seed Gonzaga, the number 1 overall seed. A dark horse I could see coming out of this is Memphis, and not much else. Baylor's the 2, Memphis is the 3. I don't really want to hear much about Memphis, but I think the entire state of Michigan is on the Amani Bates hate train after he gut punched all of Michigan State and their fans. Now he's down in Memphis with Penny. So I don't think Memphis will make it to the Final Four. I think Gonzaga is the national champion. Spoiler alert, but I think Gonzaga wins the national championship this year. In the East, the number 1 overall seed is the Michigan Wolverines. A dark horse I like in this bracket, I really like Arkansas. And that might be my bench mob bias, listening to the Barstool bench mob boys talking about Musselman this whole offseason and how they went down to Fayetteville. But I really like what he's got going on over there. He's got a lot of transfers with Chris Likes. And They did lose Moses Moody, but I think Arkansas is a force not to be reckoned with in the SEC. Another team I like, especially after seeing them play yesterday, Duke. I love Duke. And Paolo and Trevor Keels. I didn't see the second half, but I heard that Trevor Keels had a great second half, and Paolo had some cramps. And I also like their center. I'm blanking on his name. But their center, he had a great end of the year last year. So I really like Duke. And then, so I have Michigan coming out of that bracket. In the Midwest, the number 1 seed is Kansas. As I said earlier, I don't like Kansas. I have Purdue coming out of that bracket. Another team I would look for is nobody. Houston is the 4, is the team that made the Final Four last year. I don't like Houston at all this year. All right, and then heading into the South, we have the Texas Longhorns at the 2, Illinois at 3, Alabama is a dark horse that I like at 4. Lenardi has Maryland and Alabama setting up to be a 4-5 second round matchup. That could go either way, but my pick to make it to the Final Four is UCLA. UCLA returns basically all their starters from last year, and then they add Peyton Watson, and then they add Miles Johnson, who I'm pretty sure John Rothstein said this. He had more blocks last season than UCLA did as a team, and if not, it was a small digit that UCLA had more than him. So I like UCLA a lot. I love Johnny Juzang. I will take this to my grave. If there's one team that I wanted Michigan to lose to in the tournament, it was UCLA. They were a great story, especially after they beat State and Johnny Juzang. I love him. Okay. So now, and of course, those picks are subject to change. This is the preseason. Well, I mean, I wrote this in the preseason, and the season has started. Now it's time for the Hot Grind of the Week, presented by Millner-Haufen Tools. As I stated earlier, use code Ryan20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase. Again, Millner-Haufen, best in the game, best customer service, best quality. Bang for your buck. Today's Hot Grind of the Week. The Titans broke the Bills, who are no longer the team to beat in the AFC anymore, due to predictability from Brian Dable, who was, a candidate for big NFL jobs last year. And I think that this could be good for the Bills, but I think those takes are sidelined for a little bit. And, I think the Bills will rebound. I still didn't think they win the AFC East. But Bills fans not having a good time right now. But I think the Bills, I want to say this as a meme, but I think the Bills have their fun with Mike White. I really like Mike White. He's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool story. Drew, your Hot Grind of the Week.
I was going to say that I kind of seen enough this season. Michigan's going to Indianapolis for football. I realize that's a stupid decision of me thinking that, so I will not say that.
Well, explain why. Why would you say that?
Because Michigan always loses to Ohio State. I think that
this is not a topic we should have for this week, but Michigan, I spoke with my good friend, Mr. Martinovich, earlier today. He said that Michigan's best chance of beating Ohio State is this year, and I agree with him.
It's like that every year until they lose. All right. But I will say, I guess I said it earlier, but Michigan State will go farther in hoops than Michigan and Purdue in March.
This is week 2 of the Hot Grind of the Week. That might be the worst Hot Grind of the Week in the history of the show.
See me in April.
We sleep in May. All right. That's going to wrap it up. It was a jam-packed show. Once again, we appreciate you all for listening. You can follow the show on Instagram at RPC vs. the World. Get your takes in next week for our community polls. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RPC vs. the World. You can follow Drew on Twitter at _Drew Lawler. No, That's Instagram. Instagram, Twitter @LawlerDrew. We'll see you next week. Go Blue.